Well, glad to have you on the call today. And I'd like to talk about a story that I read as a teenager, a fascinating one by Ray Bradbury, The Sound of Thunder. It later became a movie. And this is about a man who hires a time travel company because he wants to hunt dinosaurs. He goes back millions of years ago, and knowing the consequences of doing something before, and that there could be a ripple effect. Everything is really planned not to affect or touch in any way this ancient world, including having these anti-gravity pathways that don't even touch a blade of grass. And he's warned, stay on the path. Don't even put a foot off the ground. Don't touch anything. And the animals, of course, that they're going to shoot, they already know by viewing time that they're about to die anyway. And so anyway, in the excitement of shooting the dinosaur, this tourist loses his balance and a foot comes off the pathway, and all of the technicians are horrified when they discover a crushed butterfly on the sole of his foot. And they said, oh, it's possible that this could be enormous consequences to the future. And the tourist exclaims, not just that, not just a butterfly. Well, they return to a new world. The present now has signs with different languages, and there's a different president that is in the country there, all because of stepping on a butterfly 100 million years ago. Now, I don't know about that, but you think about a little thing that could be multiplied over 100 million years, that could be something. I want to just kind of think about this. If you had the idea that everything is purposeful and that what you do really does change the way you live and possibly the way other people live, you know, that is something to really think about. Every word that you say. One of my favorite thoughts is that a simple smile can lead to a million possibilities. And so I think if we really believe that everything we do has consequences, we should really have an emphasis to strive to be nice to everyone. And, you know, just this idea of the slightest things that we do. Have you ever heard of a man by the name of Karl Renborg? He lived quite a while ago. In fact, over 100 years ago, he lived in China, and he stayed there for about 10 years studying lifestyle. And he came home profoundly moved by the power of diet, and came to California, and he started experimenting with just foods that were very, very healthy, superfoods, what we call them today. And so he got things like wheatgrass, watercress, different concentrated things, dried them and pressed them into tablets. And in the 1930s, he had this company that became known as Nutrilite. It was actually the very first vitamin company. This is pretty exciting. Now, one of the other things that is really interesting about Karl is that in 1945, to help move this product and get the word out to people, he invented multi-level marketing. 1945. In 1949, Rich DeVos and Jay Van Andel were recruited into Nutrilite, and they became their superstars. And after some years, they were really concerned about some of the stability of that company, some different things going on. And in 1957, they started a company called the American Way Corporation that got contracted to, yes, Amway. Wow, 1957. And let's see, 1975, there was a young man by the name of Isamu Masuda in Japan who began a company called Nikken. Actually, in 1976, a year later, I joined Amway. but that's a whole nother story. But, you know, I think about that. That changed my whole life. In fact, some of the books behind me, some of those are old books. Many of those are books that I got back when I was in my learning days in Amway. I would say that I wouldn't have even recognized NICAN as an opportunity, or known what to do if it wasn't for that experience. Also, just to kind of carry that along, Mr. Masuda was actually introduced to network marketing before he began NICAN and was really good at it. So that changed his life. But if you can kind of see that butterfly effect, Carl Runborg, how he has affected the lives of more and more people. And this idea of network marketing, nutrition, health, this little ripple effect in 1945, that grew into quite a current. In fact, it hit a big wave with Rich and Jay, and it's just still moving on to just something that's an insurmountable wave. And this right now is just such a golden moment to be involved in it. I'm just super excited about that. Well, I want to just kind of share some other thoughts about that. Just in the world of network marketing, just some basic statistics that I think is very, very interesting. And let me kind of make sure I get this right here. 80% of the people that join network marketing, certainly that join NICAN, fit into this thing. 80% of the people never sponsor another person. So they really never take advantage of the compensation plan. And in fact, 3% of the people or less ever sponsor more than 10 people. My challenge to you is, why not be one of those 3%? I believe one of the really big keys of anything is to focus on the things that matter. A good affirmation to make is, I must do the most effective thing possible at all times. Well, the most effective thing possible in NICAN is conversations. Get really, really good at telling the story. All of the people that are very good in sales and specifically in network marketing, they're very, very good storytellers. And I've been around a long time in that industry. As I mentioned, I joined in April of 1976, and I've been doing something ever since. And if we practice doing something again and again and again, that employs the magic of numbers. Such an important aspect right there. And so what if you really learned the story? And if you don't have a story yourself, what's really fun is you can learn the story of someone else. But if you get in the game and do very much, you get a lot of stories. And there's a story for almost every occasion. For every challenge that someone has, you can have a story. And the thing I love about the NICAN opportunity with our products and everything, as an example, if we go to that other company that started everything, it began with, Rich and Jay were selling vitamins. And interestingly, to this day, about half of Amway's volume is Neutralite. They went back and actually purchased that company, so they own Neutralite outright. They have a whole lot of stuff, but half of their volume is Neutralite. That's a big deal. That's something to really think about. People are interested in health. But the thing I think is really fascinating, if you go to one of their meetings, and why not? What you'll find is their stories are stories of success, which are wonderful. Most successful people read stories about other people succeeding. That's one of the big things, is the biographies of successful people. And the thing I think is really, really fascinating about that is pretty much all the other companies, what they're selling is something magnificent. Autonomy, a chance to be your own boss, to direct your own life, to be in control of your own future, to be part of a team, building that team, creating a culture that has freedom, huge recognition, the feeling of accomplishment. This is big stuff. That's heady. Well, we have all of that too, with the addition of something that is so consuming and so compelling, of watching before our eyes people in pain and otherwise that have problems, where our product has the power to actually give people a second chance as far as their physical health. It's just amazing what this does, all with the ability to have a business of your own and build a team. But building a team that could actually have an impact on the world in such a way that I believe that the health crises, there wouldn't be one if everyone were using the Nikken products. That's a little fun test that I have in myself, is just this thought experiment is, okay, what you're doing, what if everyone had what you have? If you own a restaurant, what if everybody had your particular pizza or had your particular car or whatever? Would the world be any different than it is right now? In a lot of ways, probably not much. But if everyone had Nikken products, that would change everything. I'd love to think about why Bill Gates became a multi-billionaire, because he was on something big. He had a new idea that other people didn't. Even the leaders in, this is another one, back in 1975, that's when Bill Gates began Microsoft. And IBM, companies like that, they felt that the computer business was important, but the only people that needed computers were the military and the university or some great big business. The idea that Bill had was, and it was his unwavering vision that every home should have a computer. And all the other people didn't see that at all. They just thought, what would a home possibly need a computer for? And now I'm talking to you with a computer, that they're indispensable in today's world. And because of that, everything has been changed. Isn't that a fun thing about? Now we have that same goal. Every home, a wellness home. That is an all-reaching, wonderful goal to have. And we could transform the world every bit as much, I believe more so, than if everybody had a computer. Because there's a lot of places in the world that they get along just fine without a computer in their home. But boy, if you don't have health, nothing else really matters that much. So we really have something important. So 80% never recruit anybody. That fits into that Pareto principle, the 80-20 law. Right now, I hope you'll decide that this is a worthy cause. You know, we have to work anyway. That's the way the world is set up. And why not be involved in work that matters, if it inspires you? Zig Ziglar said that he's never met, well, in fact, he said there isn't even such a thing as a lazy person. He said they're only uninspired, because you can take almost anyone, and if they're inspired, then they have ambition, and they go and do things rather than just kind of doing something that isn't inspiring. And they think, oh, here it is Monday morning, and oh, thank goodness it's Wednesday, it's hump day, over the hump. And then, of course, thank goodness it's Friday, and then the weekend, and then all of a sudden it's gone so quick. And then that chain pulling them to work and greeting each other with, oh, don't work too hard, or take it easy. Wow, I love Monday mornings, and I'm excited because I've got something to do, something I want to do, something I don't have to look forward to retiring from. Wouldn't that be fun to do that? And if you love what you're doing, then you can do lots of it. And so I recommend you get excited about helping people with this, and not just helping a person casually, because all of us, if we find something that we believe in, we'll share it. But it'll just kind of happenstance. What if you got so on fire about this that you just thought, I've got to tell everybody, not just bless my own family or a couple of my friends, but what if I actually apply myself and learn how to tell this story and tell it so well that people, they're coming to you and say, I've got to hear your story. And then just tell it to lots of qualified people, and then it happens. Now, inside us, I think one of the things that's really important is Jim Rohn talks about this idea that we become pretty much the average of the 5 people we associate most with. Okay, we have this peer pressure. Well, what they've found, scientists have discovered that inside our heads, we have what's called mirror neurons. And they allow us to connect with other people. So much so, if you read a really good book, all of a sudden you're inside that book. Certainly, when you're watching a well-done movie that touches all of the emotions, you're pulled right in. You're almost hypnotized, living another world. You feel the love, the anger, all of those feelings that the hero or the heroine are experiencing, and the lift at the end of the movie of of accomplishing. Well, what's really fascinating about those mirror neurons is that, just as an example, I was reading that you could get a group of people together, and let's say they're going to do, let's say it's a jazz band, and they're just going to get together and start jamming. Well, they'll put EEGs on them all, and everybody's things are going different. And once they start playing and just the flow happens, all of their brain waves are all going at the same time. They're all connected. This happens in a lot of team sports and things like that, where mob psychology, that's another aspect right there. This is something that we can actually employ in Nikken, creating a movement. The first time I heard something was almost spooky. The very first Humans Being More, Larry Prophet talked about these islands in off of Japan, and there was monkeys on them, and people were experimenting with them and watching their behavior, and just to kind of keep them in an area, they had a bunch of sweet potatoes. Well, I'd just kind of drop them in the sand, and the monkeys would eat those. Now, I don't know if you've ever dropped something in the food, some food on the sand and not noticed or something. And sand does not really add to the enjoyment of food, even if you're a monkey. And so one of the monkeys discovered that if she washed the sweet potato in a stream that was nearby, it was just much more palatable. Showing that to a couple of other monkeys that just kind of moved along. I'll imagine their surprise when they found that a particular percentage of the population, once they were washing their sweet potatoes, everybody was washing their potatoes. But what really astounded them was at that same time, all of those monkeys were on other islands. They were too. We could call that in physics entanglement, which really bothered Einstein. Spooky things happening at a distance is what he called it. There is something about that. It's just fascinating. I kind of think, wow, I see all these people with tattoos. Now you go anywhere in the world and people have tattoos on. Now, one of the things we want to do is that same thing. When a certain percentage of the population start doing something, adopt it. There's early adopters, but once a certain number of people, it just all of a sudden hits this critical mass. Well, this is what we want to do with Nikken. We have a better way to help people with their health. It's such an important thing. Now, monkeys, there is a momentum with them and with people and everything else. I want to just talk about another aspect of this momentum and connectedness, building a team, excitement. Leaders, they have influence. John Maxwell goes to the point that leadership is influence, nothing more, nothing less. I like what I heard from Larry Prophet the best, as that leadership is the enthusiastic communication of your vision. I love that thought. Rich and Jay, amazing leaders. Just to interject one of my very favorite stories in a book I read about him. He was before thousands of people at a meeting, and afterward, a man came up in tears and said, Mr. DeVos, the people, they will be better because you came here today. That's always stayed in my mind. I just thought, wow, that is a life well lived, doing that, making a difference. And I think what an amazing compliment. You know, the people, they will be better because you were here. In fact, there's a guy, Burke Hedges. He's written several books, and I just I got to share this with you. There was a very cautious man who never laughed or played. He never risked. He never tried. He never sang or prayed. But when he one day passed away, his insurance was denied. For since he never lived, they claimed he never died. Well, anyway, don't do that. Let's go back to Rich and Jay. You know, when they got going really well, they thought, well, we need to kind of get into management and just kind of take care of what we've got. Now, what's really interesting is that they were the beginning monkeys washing their sweet potatoes, and they quit washing their sweet potatoes. And what happened is that their leaders went into management. Well, that made Rich and Jay, I guess you could say, a supervisor. and then their leaders, their managers became supervisors, and pretty much all of a sudden the business crashed because everybody was in management, and they said, "Oh my goodness, what have we done?" And so they started going out and recruiting people again, and all of a sudden everybody started recruiting people, and they didn't let up after that. They learned. Isn't that a powerful thought right there? Boy, when I'm green, I'm growing, but when I'm ripe, I'll soon be rotten. So stay green, stay growing. and there's no better feeling than putting in a couple of new legs. It's powerful. Move heaven and earth to bring a new leg in. And it's such a wonderful feeling. And the best thing you can do is get people around you, their mirror neurons activated, their hearts and minds, just of the thrill and the fun of sharing this with other people, of gaining another customer. And I love this thought that Denny Denton said it so well, a diamond that has passed on, but his legacy lives on. But he said, if you do something once, you can do it again. And let's go specifically. If you can sponsor somebody or sell a product, if you can do that one time, you can do it a second time. And if you can do it a third time, you can make it a habit. And if you make sponsoring people and selling product a habit, you can get rich in this business. That's all it is. Now, I would like to just kind of challenge you, this idea, this mirror neuron thing. Are you a thermostat, or are you a thermometer? Do you think of yourself as an upline or as a downline? Do you make things happen or wait for somebody else? Well, if I could just find a sponsor that or an upline that will get me motivated. What if they don't come? Well, actively go out and get plugged in and start building your circle of influence. Now, a lot of my closest people that influence me, I guess you could say they're dead. They're back there. I put my phone on and my earpieces when I'm at the gym or riding a bike or something, and I'm listening to some of my friends, some of the very best people as far as developing and getting better. Just fascinating, and it rubs off on you. And we do become what we think about. And what's really powerful is we can take somebody else's thoughts and think them and make them our own. And in Nikken, in this kind of business, we can take those thoughts and multiply them by sharing them with others and take great use of those thoughts. Isn't that a powerful thing? Now, I would like to challenge all of us. I've got somebody lined up that they're not ready to join now, but I've got their application. And so I've already got somebody for October. We've sponsored some people this month and last month. We really want to be a good example. I want you to be a good example. I want you to be a part of this. I don't want you to be like the person who never really lived, and so they never really died. If we could go in a time machine and go back, possibly stepping on a butterfly, but what if we did something bigger? What if we invented a new method of marketing? Well, Nikken has already done that for us. They've invented a better way to be healthy. They've taken science from Japan, technologies, and made it simple and affordable to be really healthy. And nobody knows about that. And so just rather than stepping on a butterfly, let's get off that sterile walkway, get out there and just make a mess with a whole bunch of people. Then it makes it more and more likely that those interactions that we have purposefully trying to make a better future. Kind of think of that time machine idea that right now, it's 5 years from now. It's maybe 20 years from now. Let's just think, okay, 5 years from now, here we are, and let's imagine it being an ideal, perfect world in every way. Your health, it's wonderful. Where do you live? Just a dream home. Your family is awesome. You have great friends. Your career, it is thriving. Because you're a diamond or a royal diamond in Nikken. Of course, it's wonderful. Imagine just the ideal world. Okay, now imagine, what do you need to be doing today to make that future possible. Kind of look, okay, we're off there. We know what we can do. And what can we do to compound, to make that ripple effect, that butterfly effect work if we know where we want to be? And if we really have a big enough dream to overcome the fear of maybe talking to somebody, and then just kind of work it through in our minds, what's the worst thing that'll happen if we share Nikken with somebody? I'm so glad that was shared with me. It's changed my whole life. Wow. So get off that sterile path, go for it. Create your own path, and let's do for it. Hang around us, you can do it. And one of the things I love to think about is the idea of ways. What if everyone in Nikken were just to go out and sponsor one person? In fact, let's say they just sponsored one person between now and the end of the year. Well, Nikken at the end of the year would be double what it is right now if everybody just did one. Well, I know some aren't going to do one, and so I'm going to do a few extra. You can too, and we can change the world together. We want them speaking a better language of health. We want people to know there's options out there. We have a better way, and people need to know it. Sure love you. Glad that you're on our team, and let's make things happen. Take care, everyone.